Okay. As we've heard, Phi Beta Kappa was founded on December 5th, 1776, in the Raleigh Tavern, about half a mile down the street. And you might be asking why a tavern, right? In part, this was because, as we heard, classes offered no free expression, and there was no electives, no majors. It was a restricted curriculum, and it would have been insubordinate to steer classroom conversation towards the ongoing revolution, and probably heretical to discuss what might be the best cause of action for a new republic. One could not have bet on campus. The college was royally chartered, and its leaders held allegiance a little less to the cause and more to the crown. And this is why 5 students from William and Mary came to the Raleigh Tavern to found PBK. It was an act of courage during a tumultuous time, roughly a year after the start of the Revolutionary War, which would come Lexington and Concord, and as we heard, about 5 months from signing of the Declaration. In such a time, the Raleigh Tavern was needed, not only for the drink it offered and for the joy and companionship of friends, but the tavern was a place to meet that did not arouse suspicion. If you were going to talk about potentially treasonous activities, it might have been the only place in town you could have done that. And much like the coffee houses of the 1960s, colonial-era taverns were hotbeds of radical thinking, and they were places in which new ideas were fermented. Taverns offered training and policy debates, and the development of future leaders. Alexander Hamilton, in his travels around America, wrote of taverns saying, quote, "There was no telling who you find yourself next to. Congregationalists drank with Anglicans, blacksmiths with attorneys, and aspiring politicians and budding revolutionaries mingled." You might say, it was the room where it happened. And in this environment, this is where Phi Beta Kappa was founded, a society that from the beginning has supported free speech and the core principle that any topic, however radical, could be discussed and debated. And at other tumultuous times in our nation, Phi Beta Kappa has been there and played a role. Following World War II, at the height of the Cold War McCarthyism and the proliferation of nuclear arsenals, PBK led the way to create the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities, organizations that celebrate our nation's rich cultural heritage and bring the arts to all Americans. Although these organizations are operating about a third of their budget, they're still extant and waiting to be revived by individuals like yourself. So, and your induction today to PBK, another tumultuous time in our nation, is more than just another award or accolade, of which I'm sure you have many, more than just a feather in your cap. PBK carries a legacy of commitment to a better future. You will always be PBK, and with such an honor comes an obligation to serve in ways that respect the origin of this society and align with the 3 pillars of the society: friendship, morality, and literature. Friendship, because great ideas and leaders don't arise from islands of independence. They are cultivated with dedicated mentorship and a network of friends, family, and colleagues. Friendship recognizes everyone who's in this theater who has helped support you on your path here today and will continue to do so in the years ahead. Morality. At a time when our political landscape is lacking in civility, this pillar of PBK holds more relevance today than at possibly any time in history. And literature. Literature represents the pursuit of knowledge, and that love of learning is the guide to life. This guiding philosophy has perennially been associated with Phi Beta Kappa and is the crux of its name. And lifelong learning is not only about the continued growth and renewal of the individual, yourselves, but also carries an obligation to commitment and growth and renewal of the community and the nation. And in this spirit, Phi Beta Kappa occasionally inducts honorary or alumni members to the chapter that have demonstrated commitment to the values of PBK. This year, we're pleased to recognize 2 alumni of the college with induction, Dr. Dan Huber and Bill Skimmerhorn. Could you both please come forward? And I would also like to invite George Grenia, Professor Emeritus, to introduce Dr. Huber.
Dr. Danny Heber graduated from William & Mary in 2008 with degrees in linguistics and philosophy. He spent 2 summers in Spain, walking the Camino de Santiago, and then his entire junior year in Kenya, first learning Swahili in Mombasa on the coast, and second semester studying national language policy in Nairobi. After graduation, Danny worked on language revitalization projects for Rosetta Stone, focusing on Chichimacha, Inupiaq, and Navajo. He earned his PhD in linguistics at the University of California, Santa Barbara, followed by a postdoc in Western Canada, again, working on indigenous languages. He quickly became a nationally recognized science communicator through his multi-platform linguistic discovery. Over 10,000 subscribers receive his monthly newsletter, and across all platforms, he's had over 6.2 million page views in the last 30 days. In addition to his induction to Alpha Chapter of Phi Beta Kappa today, this weekend he will also deliver commencement addresses to Lavender graduation, a ceremony for LGBTQA+ seniors, and diploma recipients in linguistics. Danny Heber.
Congratulations, Danny. Our other inductee, alumni inductee this afternoon is Bill Skimmerhorn.